Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, July 1st. We are live on Rumble, live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you could ever imagine, reaching upwards to 2 million views every single month on the independent Shannon Joy Network. No idols here on the Shannon Joy Show. Not left, not right, right in the middle, in that sane space that it seems doesn't exist in mainstream media, left or right, or mainstream politics, left or right, today in 2025 here in the US. Just trying to get you the truth every day from a common sense perspective. And we have a great guest lined up for today. As you know, I am introducing you to as many independent journalists and broadcasters and researchers that I possibly can, as it becomes more and more evident to more and more Americans that these two political parties are on the same side. It is indeed a uniparty system, a unibrow system, and that has never been more evident than in the big, beautiful bill, the big betrayal bill, as I call it, the BBB, pushed out now by Donald Trump and the turncoats in the Republican Party. Also witnessing the complete about face of Bobby Kennedy Jr. in his role at HHS, which we've been documenting here on the Shannon Joy Show. The betrayals are, quite frankly, breathtaking. And yes, everyone's talking about the Bobby Kennedy Jr. interview with Tucker Carlson. I watched a good portion of that. And as you can see from the headline of today's show, I do believe it was a softball limited hangout for a variety of reasons. In my opinion, the interview was a lot of red meat for the right and anti-vaxxers, but really no new information. We're going to discuss that in the opening monologue here of the Shannon Joy Show today. But later in the program, we're going to introduce you to a new guest. As I mentioned, Seth Holehouse. He is Man in America. You can find him on Twitter. He has a huge following here on Rumble, upwards, I think, over 170,000 followers here on Rumble, and is putting out a lot of really great content. And what I've loved about Seth Holehouse as of late, he really is moving into that independent space. Not right, not left, not supporting candidates or politicians or political parties, but really just dialing in on the truth. He's had a lot of great shows recently, and I loved what he had to say about RFK last week and the wearables and big tech and the technocracy. He's kind of moving into our lane, and I really want to introduce him to you today. So he will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. We will introduce him to you. I'm going to ask him about all of the things. What do you think about Trump's report card 6 months in? The big, beautiful betrayal bill, the attack on Tom Massey, one of the only independent Republicans in Washington, D.C. But then again, the strange alliance now, Tom Massey with a post this morning aligning with none other than Elon Musk. None of this makes any sense. We're going to get to all of it today, but I do want to address that Tucker Carlson interview right after I say hello to all of you and also thank our sponsors. Today, we are so thankful to be sponsored by our friends over at Colonial Metals Group. As you know, Ed Dowd last week, Greg Hunter, money or gold is money good was the statement from Ed Dowd. His analysis of the market, the fundamentals have not changed. The debt and deficit spending still continues. And he is now raising the alarm about a major, major financial issue in the fall of 2025. The chickens are going to come home to roost, and he is now moving into that recommendation of gold as a safe haven. It is a tier 1 asset now, as determined by BIS, and it is now becoming the de facto currency, and not digital gold, not Bitcoin, none of the Tether or stable coins, none of that. It is the real stuff, the physical gold and silver. And this is biblical. It's been around for 4,000 years of human history. It has always been the standard of wealth. And this is why so many Americans are moving into it. The only company that I trust for my gold and silver strategy is Colonial Metals Group. They can assist you with the purchase of physical gold and silver for your safety deposit box or a safe in your home. They can also help you move a portion of your retirement into a gold-backed IRA that you direct. They can also help people allocate a certain amount of money and contribute to a gold-backed IRA. So if you want to set up something new, they can do that as well. And that's something that I am doing with them right now. I'm so excited about that. I'm going to be telling you guys more about it. The company is colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Go to their URL right now. See if you qualify for up to $7,500 in free silver if you qualify. But this is the company I trust. I've been using them for years, and they're going to meet you where you are and help you get that strategy in place. Get it going, guys, because things are going to get bumpy. So thank you to our friends over at colonialmetalsgroup.com. Let's go to the live chat, say hello to all of you. Of course, we have a lively, amazing, intellectual, helpful live chat today. We have CM1968 who has joined us today. CJP Rumble was the very first to join the live chat. CJP, great to see you. Buskman is with us today. Big fan of Seth Holehouse. So that's pretty cool. I'm super glad. Listen, I would like to be the clearinghouse for some of the best journalists, opinion makers, people who are not mired in the politics, but are committed to the truth and tethered to principles. These are the voices that I'm looking for here in the Shannon Joy Show. We might not agree on everything. There might be some voices I present to you that came from the traditional left. There might be some voices who came from the traditional right. There might be people out there who endorsed Donald Trump for the presidency or endorsed Biden for the presidency at some point. Right? Everyone, I love to give a lot of room for everyone to wake up. And when they're in this lane of truth telling and absolute independence, that's when I want to present them to you guys, because it's always constantly changing, right? So yes. Oh, D. Kelly girl, great to see you. Oh, good afternoon. In the hospital now, waiting on a beautiful baby grandboy to arrive. No shots on this one. D. Kelly girl, congratulations. That is so amazing and so beautiful. And yeah, that's what matters, right? Our family, our babies, living life and in relative freedom, right? That's what we have come to expect here in the United States of America. It is our birthright. These are God-given natural rights to be in control of our own bodies and decide what happens to our bodies and the bodies of our children. And that is why the vaccine issue, I've said this to my audience for about 10 years. I think that the vaccine issue is the defining issue of the 21st century. It is the defining issue of our lives. It will determine whether or not we are free human beings or we are slaves. And I assert to you, if they have the ability and they have the power to lock us down and inject poison into our bodies or the bodies of our children without our consent, through coercion, manipulation, deceit, or force, then we are not free people. And that is why the vaccine issue is the issue. It was a determining issue in the election of President Donald Trump, which only happened because of the medical freedom movement through the alliance with Bobby Kennedy Jr., right? And so now to be sitting here 6 months out in this presidency and see that nothing has happened with mRNA, nothing has happened with pushing back on full-scale immunity for pharmaceutical companies. Nothing has happened in terms of mandates. There are still mandates for children to be vaccinated as a condition of entering preschool or school, with no religious exemptions, no philosophical exemptions, and no medical exemptions. In almost, I would say 8 or 9 states across the country, they're still in place, right? And there's been no movement there. There have been peripheral wins, limited hangouts like what we saw with Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tucker Carlson yesterday in that interview, which, he said a lot of great things. He said a lot of things that I agree with, right? But it sounded like, that interview with Tucker Carlson sounded like the same interview I've seen Bobby Kennedy Jr. do for the past 10 years. Right? That guy was the guy who was in the disinformation dozen and completely censored, and the crazy anti-vaxxer that everyone mocked and ridiculed, right? The Bobby Kennedy Jr. on the periphery, not the Bobby Kennedy Jr. that is HHS secretary, the guy who is the man, the guy who's carrying a big stick, right? Every time Tucker asked a question about what could be done on things like mRNA and vaccine injury and acknowledging the vaccine injured or the vaccine dead, it was kind of like, oh, well, you know, the 1996, oh, well, you know, it's complicated. Oh, well, you know, we're working on that. There is so much that Bobby Kennedy Jr. can be doing from his position as HHS secretary that he isn't doing. And sadly, while he did use the bully pulpit yesterday with Tucker Carlson, I think it's the first time I heard Bobby Kennedy Jr. acknowledge COVID vaccine injured and dead in a very limited way, right? So I'm glad he's finally getting out there and speaking about some of these topics and talking about pharmaceutical liability protection and talking about the revolving door. But it's like every single time he steps right up to the very edge, but never goes over. And also, you know, spilled out a little bit of disinformation as well, some lies in there as well. When Tucker Carlson asked him, are you still recommending COVID-19 shots for pregnant women? And he said no in that interview. Well, that wasn't true. They are recommending COVID-19 shots for pregnant women because pregnant women exist in the category that the CDC defines as high risk. And so they've made it very clear that that COVID-19 mRNA shot recommendation is still in place for women who are at high risk. Pregnancy would be one of those categories, and also children who are high risk. That would be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children across the US would be quote unquote high risk. They could have autoimmune disorders, or they could have allergies or asthma or all sorts of conditions that are very common among babies and children that would place them at high risk. Those recommendations are still in place. So they're still doing the dance. So I'm not satisfied with this interview that I saw between Tucker Carlson and Bobby Kennedy. And I know there are great sound bites out there. I know they're pushing out the red meat, the anti-vaxxer red meat. And a lot of the things that he's saying were true, right? But that is the definition of the con, right? In order to achieve the con, you have to gain the confidence. That's where the word con man comes from. He's a confidence man. I'm not saying that Kennedy is a con man yet, but he is gaining your confidence. And the only way to do that is through telling mostly truths and then dropping in the big lie. And so this interview, I saw a good amount of it. It actually deserves a much more nuanced discussion. And that's what I might have with Sasha Latipova, because I'm very concerned about this interview, very concerned about the direction that Bobby Kennedy is taking our people. Death by a million cuts to this movement as we sit and wait for the hero to come and save us. We've got to accept this, in my opinion, with clear eyes and move forward from the bottom up in order to resist a lot of this stuff. So thank you so much. Very, very happy. And what do we want to do? We want to protect the babies, right? We want to end the deception, the manipulation, the coercion, right? Every young mom going into the hospital and being told that she needs to get all these vaccines for her babies, never given true informed consent. Oh gosh, there's so many things about this interview that I could go into, and we're going to try to go into as many of them as we can before we bring Seth on. But I have a few questions that I would have asked if I were to interview Secretary Robert Kennedy. And let me tell you, we've been reaching out to Bobby Kennedy Jr. for 2.5 years here on the Shannon Joy Show. They have never granted us an interview. Similarly, we have been reaching out to Congressman Thomas Massie here on the Shannon Joy Show for almost a year. We have not been granted an interview. I wonder about those things, right? You would think I'd be a friendly place for someone like Tom Massie to come in, or you know, at least last year, a very friendly venue for someone like Robert Kennedy Jr., and they won't come on the show. Maybe it's because I'll ask the hard questions. Maybe that's why I can't get an interview with any politician. The only politician with cojones enough to come onto the Shannon Joy Show has been Governor Ron DeSantis, right? With no conditions. He's been on the show twice. They've never told me you can't ask this question or you can't ask that question. He's just come in live on the show, done the interview, and I've asked my questions, right? What is up with that? I don't know. Guitar Lily is with us today. Big thank you to Annie Cyrus for producing the show. Chronozone 777 is with us. Kennedy revealed that the CDC buried a 1999 internal study led by a researcher which showed an alarming 1,135% increase from the hepatitis B vaccine. Okay, chronozone. This is a perfect segue to one of my biggest criticisms about the Bobby Kennedy Jr. interview with Tucker Carlson, right? Like, he always goes back in time. He always goes back into the history. Well, the 1996 law that gave pharmaceutical corporations complete immunity from anyone or liability protection, right? Well, what are you doing about it today, right? Kennedy revealed that the CDC, big bad CDC, buried this internal study. Okay, so you have a 1,135% increase in injury, I suppose, from the hepatitis B vaccine. Well, what are you doing about it today, Bobby? Why is it that babies are still being injected with the hepatitis B vaccine, right? If you have studies, why don't you pull the vaccines or remove the recommendations or at least pause the entire thing until your agency through the NIH can go in and conduct the necessary studies to determine that the COVID mRNA vaccine, whatever version of it, or hepatitis B or MMR or any of the vaccines in the childhood schedule are safe and effective for children to use? Why is it that your agency is still recommending these? Why is it that your agency isn't demanding that hospitals, pediatricians, and medical doctors provide full informed consent for every person that comes into their office for a vaccine, showing them the vaccine package insert, showing them the full list of potential side effects and adverse events that could come from the vaccine, right? Showing them where they can report their injury for VAERS. Like, these are all things that medical doctors should be doing every single time they administer a vaccine to any baby or any child or any adult, whether it's the flu vaccine or RSV. That's not what we're seeing. We're seeing all of these mRNA jabs in the hopper for FDA approval. In 2025, we see a fast tracking of the SA-mRNA. We see an FDA approval. This is under HHS of an RSV vaccine, which is an mRNA technology. We see the HHS recommending vaccines, the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines, to the population at large, with only that slight cutout of healthy babies and children and pregnant women. These are all the nuanced angles that Tucker Carlson completely missed, right? You are carrying the big stick, Bobby. You have the stick. You have the power. You are the man. You have the bully pulpit. There are so many things that you could do. And my questions would be revolving around, why haven't you done them? And here are just a few of the questions I would ask him. Why haven't you reversed the former HHS secretary's COVID-19 public health emergency, which gives the agency and the government vast powers and is making it very difficult for us to sue any hospital or any institution for some of the horrifying deaths that resulted from COVID-19 protocols, including vaccination and treatment protocols? Why haven't you used the bully pulpit to bring awareness and aid to the vaccine injured and dead? Why isn't the NIH running studies right now? Why aren't you fast tracking the studies to determine whether or not these vaccines are killing people? Why aren't you out there every single day gathering information from the vaccine injured, from those who can't even pay for their treatments? Why aren't you raising awareness from your bully pulpit? And yes, thank you for like the one side of your mouth mention on Tucker Carlson, which looked like it was a damage control interview in order to, distract people away from what you've done over the past couple weeks, because he's been getting a lot of criticism. Like, why aren't you doing that every single day? Why don't you set up a committee, a blue ribbon committee, send some of your agents out into the United States of America to document and hear the stories and bring awareness to those who have been injured or killed from the COVID-19 vaccine that you're recommending? Why haven't you used the bully pulpit to publicly advocate that pharma liability shields be abolished? Why haven't you used your position at HHS as HHS secretary to maybe withhold grant funding through the NIH and other agencies from states and organizations that enforce severe vaccine mandates for babies and children, as a condition of entering preschool or elementary school or secondary school or college? Why haven't you pulled the mRNA shots off the market while you study them for safety? Why did you fast track the SA self-amplifying mRNA shots? Why is your agency still recommending COVID shots for immune compromised babies and pregnant mothers? Why hasn't your agency, Bobby, advised health practitioners to post ingredients lists, package inserts, and potential adverse reactions for all vaccines to achieve true informed consent? That would probably knock off half the vaccines in the country if people actually knew, if they actually had the ability to do a cost benefit analysis on every vaccine. But that's not happening. The CDC is still to the tune of billions of dollars promoting vaccines. It's not advertising. It's just the weight of the federal government and the power of that agency perpetuating the promotion of these vaccines relentlessly. You don't have to do that, Bobby. Why are you still doing it? Is the question. Why haven't you directed the National Institute for Health Director Jay Bhattacharya to launch a massive nationwide study on vaccine-related injuries and deaths? These are just 9 questions that need to be asked of Bobby Kennedy Jr. Is it any surprise that he has not appeared on the Shannon Joy Show? Because those are the questions that I would ask him. And they just touch the surface of what needs to be asked. Again, this is why, in my opinion, the Tucker Carlson, Bobby Kennedy Jr. interview, while entertaining and while it contained a lot of great sound bites and a lot of truths, right? It omitted all of the most important elements, the things that will truly bring change, right? He talked about out in the future. Well, we're looking into that. And he actually, rather than attacking pharmaceutical liability protection, he's like, oh, well, they already have that. Unfortunately, Congress already gave them liability protection. So we're working here at Health and Human Services to reform VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, and the payout, the secret panel of judges, the secret courts that pay out vaccine injured families. We're going to reform that, right? That's not addressing the problem. If vaccine makers faced liability, everything would change. If mandates ended, everything would change. Yet they're not going there. So that's why I'm a little bit dissatisfied, so to speak. And Tucker Carlson, he has some good interviews. I get it. But this is the problem with left-right media. This is the problem with the limited Hangout. All of these elevated platforms that never ask the questions that need to and allow these Kennedy Jr. is a politician now, and bureaucrats to get away with not answering these questions. They ran on a platform to bring truth and true reform, and I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Nostradamus. Bobby Kennedy Jr. is on the payroll. Something happened. Something happened. Because again, he is interviewing like the guy that didn't have any power. Well, now he's the guy with the power. And let's see him use it. All right. So let's go to a commercial break. It looks like Seth Holehouse has joined us. He's in the bullpen here on the Shannon Joy Show. I'm going to ask him about this, the interview, report card 6 months in on Bobby Kennedy Jr., what's going down at HHS, the technocracy, the big, beautiful betrayal bill from my perspective, and the issues of import that he thinks are really facing this country. So I'm really excited to introduce Seth to all of you. He is Man in America. We're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back to continue this discussion right here on the Shannon Joy Show. As you guys know, I love the folks over at Colonial Metals Group. Listen, if you can buy a house with gold and silver, which you are almost able to do in the great state of Florida, given what Governor Ron DeSantis has been doing, not only with making gold and silver legal tender, but also beginning the process of establishing a state sovereign bank. Man, if you can buy a house with gold and silver, why wouldn't you back your retirement, or at least a portion of your retirement, with gold and silver. You guys know chaos is the name of the game. In fact, ever since the day that President Trump stepped into office, it's been pure chaos. Whether it's erratic tariffs, actually taxes levied on the American people, insider trading that we're seeing blatantly from this administration and friends of this administration, massive bloated budgets that look exactly like Biden era budgets and Obama era budgets, debt and deficit, the continuation of the printing of money and the devaluation of the dollar, inflation as far as the eye can see, and now chaos in our streets, right? It is all chaos. There is one hedge against chaos when it comes to your finances, and that is gold and silver. It's a metals strategy, whether it's gold and silver in your safe or in a safety deposit box, or backing up your retirement with an individual self-directed IRA backed by gold. This is what so many Americans are very quickly realizing is the hedge to chaos. They can do anything they want, but they can't come after your gold and they can't touch your gold. And this is why it is so important to call Colonial Metals Group right now. Okay. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Do not wait. I know there are so many of you out there. You have heard me talk about Colonial Metals Group, the amazing staff, how awesome they are for many, many years, and you have held off. Today is the day. Do not wait. I think that there's still a lot of room actually for the value of gold and silver to grow, and there's a lot from our friend Jesse Colombo and Peter Schiff on the fact that they're still very bullish on these metals. So it's not too late, but you need to get that strategy in place right now. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. They're giving away $7,500 in free silver to the Joy audience for those of you who qualify. This is a limited time deal, but you have to go to my page, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, to learn about that offer. Sat123.com is an amazing company. Again, on the theme of chaos and cyber attacks, lockdowns, shutdowns, natural disasters, rogue governments, World War III, right? We cannot predict what is going to happen in the next 10 days, let alone the next 10 months, right? This news cycle moves so fast, and it's why many Americans are uneasy and preparing in a million different ways, whether it's gold and silver to protect your family if there's an economic collapse, to protect your retirement if there's an economic collapse, also getting food and water and those necessities that can, support your family if there is a lockdown or a shutdown. And right here, I mean, we're going to get to this in a minute, but Israel is in another lockdown situation right now. So this is why it's so important to just have everything prepared. And the satellite phone store, in addition to having satellite phones, again, if cellular goes down, the 5G, 4G, 3G, the towers go down, there's a cyber attack, all you have is the satellite phone, right? And it works, right? This is a way for you to be in contact with your friends and family to let them know that everything is okay. I have a satellite phone. It gives me an enormous amount of peace of mind, and it is going to work when those towers come down. When they don't, so many people have been blessed because of satellite phones. They've been able to bless their neighbors in natural disasters and emergency situations, something I've talked with Tina Blanco, who is the founder and CEO of Satellite Phone Store, about very often. You could be that one person in your neighborhood that could help people get in touch with loved ones if for some reason everything goes down. They also have generators and solar panels, Faraday products, Bivy sticks. Bivy sticks are amazing. It's a device that you actually use with your cell phone that turns your cell phone into a satellite phone, right? If the towers go down, and it's a little more affordable than a full cell phone package. But Satellite Phone Store always makes those packages affordable for the Joy audience. Right now, free Faraday bulletproof backpack when you sign up for a year with the Satellite Phone Store. So you get the free phone, you get a nice low monthly rate for the service, and also a very high value. I want to say it's worth a couple $100. The Faraday, which is the EMF blocking technology, bulletproof backpack. It's a great thing to send your kids off to college with. I sent one down to my son Jackson. He uses it. And it just gives me some peace of mind there. So sat123.com/joy, sat123.com/joy.
This is Don Polano with PCM Associates. There is a saying that says, a broken clock shows the correct time twice a day. This is not how you want to invest your long-term funds by being right for a short period of time. The Argentina market was the best performing market in 2024, up 117%. Does this make it a good investment today? Natural gas prices are up over 140% in the last 12 months. Are you being told to invest in this now? Thankfully, when practicing asset allocation for rate of return, you don't need to know the answer. This is because a portion of a diversified portfolio participates in this return along with income issues that provide cash flow and additional growth issues with liquidity. Don't chase returns. Participate in them with proper diversification. Investments are important for what you need for your objectives. We'll find those with you at PCM Associates. Call us at 800-536-1368 or visit PCMPolano.com.
Oh, welcome back. Welcome everyone to the Shannon Joy Show. I am so sorry. I know we just ran 7 minutes worth of ads. That's not normal on the Shannon Joy Show. We usually try to limit it to about 3-4 minutes, but we're having, in case you haven't noticed, major tech difficulties today. We started the show late because the Wi-Fi is really messed up here in my studio. And then we were trying to bring Seth Holehouse in, and we cannot figure out how to get his audio to work. I was just on the phone with Seth and trying to figure out how to get that audio to get his system to jive with our system, and they just can't figure it out. So we're calling an audible here on the Shannon Joy Show. No Seth Holehouse. I'm so sorry. We tried everything that we could do. All right. Usually we can figure these things out, but it was just, we tried everything. We were unable to do so. And so we had to cancel the interview. I'm working on getting him in for next week, maybe the week after. So I so apologize to all of you. I so apologize for that long commercial break. And we're just going to have to continue with the show solo, mano y mano. So, so I see some of your live. We still have lots to talk about. So you saw my line of questioning for Bobby Kennedy Jr. and my critique of the interview from Tucker Carlson that I mentioned in the last segment. Now, I do want to say, two of my biggest complaints with Bobby Kennedy Jr. is the fact that he isn't using his soft power, right? And that is the power of the bully pulpit. Now, I will say, going on to Tucker Carlson and conducting this type of interview in and of itself is using, in some ways, the bully pulpit. I think that it was a bit of damage control. My assessment is through the shenanigans that we've seen with the appointments on ASIP, the shenanigans that we saw regarding the wearables, the shenanigans that we saw the week before, and again, the pushing and pimping big tech. Speaking of pharmaceutical liability protection and the revolving door, right? It seems as if Bobby Kennedy Jr. last week was shilling for biotech surveillance corporations and big tech through his promotion and his commitment to a major campaign to get every single American on a wearable within 4 years, which is an astounding claim that he made, which is completely veering away from his mission, what he said he was going to do as HHS secretary. Sadly, I don't believe that Tucker Carlson asked him anything about biosurveillance, the merging of medicine and technology into this very weird transhumanist kind of agenda, the wearables, the injectables, the biosurveillance, and the revolving door with big tech. That was not on the table for the discussion, right? But the bully pulpit is using every single day, using the power of your agency and all of the thousands of people that work for you, Bobby, at HHS to stay uber focused on the things that have defined your career over the past 20 years. And we're not seeing that. As I laid out in the last segment, there are hundreds of things that he could do every single day to stay focused on these issues and to bring truth to the American people about vaccines. And he isn't doing that. And so, and also, the veering away from these key issues is concerning to me. What do you guys think about that question? I would like to ask the live audience, those who are commenting on YouTube or Rumble or Twitter or Facebook. By the way, welcome to the YouTube audience. It's great to see all of you. We are embarking on our YouTube strategy and going to try to promote that broadcast. Thank you to our partners over at Rumble. They've been amazing to us here on the Shannon Joy Show, and I love the Rumble live chat. We're also live on Facebook and Twitter, also X American News. So anyone who's watching, tuning in live on any of those platforms, feel free to pop your questions or comments into the live chat, and our producer Annie will keep an eye on that and see if there is anything that you guys have to say. But I am curious, are you guys satisfied with the Tucker Carlson, Bobby Kennedy Jr. interview? Did you pick up on anything that I missed? Again, I'm going to go through that interview again, see if I can get Sasha Latapova on, because she is writing a piece right now, much more detailed than the analysis that I have presented today. And so she's going to have a lot of nuanced critique, right? But it's, again, it's always, as Daniel Horowitz says about conservative media, Con Inc., Bizarro Con, these gatekeepers within right-wing media, they never talk about the right things at the right time. They never address the issues within the proper context and in the right way. They're always a day and a dollar late on everything, right? When it really matters, they're never there. When Tucker Carlson had the moment, the opportunity to ask questions of Bobby Kennedy Jr. that were pertinent, and believe me, he had those questions, okay? He was aware of these. Why didn't he do it? And it seems like, all of the right-wing commentators and the conning, everyone who endorsed Donald Trump in 2024 and pushed him into the presidency, right? And covered up everything that he did in his first tenure, all the broken promises, the COVID lockdowns, Operation Warp Speed, the blood on his hands from the pushing of the COVID mRNA shots, setting up the Biden administration to enforce coercive measures and even mandates, and then continuing that with his second presidential term, right? None of that was ever addressed, and now they're all mad. I've seen a bunch of conservative media figureheads out there complaining about the big, beautiful bill and complaining about broken promises. This was one from Lila Rose, and she's great. She'll step up often, a little more than a lot of the men in the conservative movement. But she wrote this today. We are supposedly trying to cut government bloat, fraud, and abuse in the big, beautiful bill, but we are only defunding Planned Parenthood for 1 year, ? Well, if anyone had been paying attention in the Trump administration in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, you would know, and I'm sure Lila Rose knows, that every single big budget, every single massive spending bill that was passed by Donald Trump and by Congress and signed by Donald Trump included full and even increased funding of Planned Parenthood. So why would you think that Trump would defund Planned Parenthood in the second tenure when he funded them fully in his first tenure, right? And I'm quite certain that they'll slip the money for Planned Parenthood back in at some point in order to get this bill passed, just like they did in Trump's first tenure. But does it even matter, though, right? To the pro-life community, they're now achieving population control through vaccination, just like Bill Gates said they would, right? We know, the safety signals for pregnant women, there's so much data out there in the clinical trials, in the preclinical trials about pregnant women getting mRNA vaccines. It is so dangerous for pregnant women. And there's an enormous amount of data. There have been multiple studies done on this, right? So if they have the ability to perpetuate mRNA shots or technologies, and they don't address what happened in 2020 and beyond, well, then they'll get population control. You won't need Planned Parenthood clinics. You won't need abortion clinics. you'll be able to essentially control population through forced medical treatments. And don't think that it can't happen in this country. There was forced sterilization in the United States of America within the last 100 years, right? There were eugenics boards in this country within the past 20 years where they would give married couples licenses to have babies, right? That's how far back this goes in this country. So to think that there isn't a desire to do that is I think naive. But yeah, I mean, it's the, limited hangout and never addressing issues in the right way at the right time regarding the things that matter when it actually matters. And I'm kind of butchering Daniel Horowitz, but he's said this multiple times. It's like it's so frustrating to watch this play out. Nautical with a great comment here. The Obama administration deported more illegals than Trump has. Well, Nautical, I took a peek back last week at immigration and deportation numbers for the past 4 presidencies. I looked at the Biden administration, the Trump administration, both of his tenures. And I'm going to be honest, guys, they don't look that different, right? There isn't, Trump is not out there, when you look at the big picture, deporting millions and millions of illegal immigrants. You see reports from Con Inc. and conservative media and all of the paid, probably, figureheads out there and influencers about this one story. Trump, ICE goes in and breaks up an illegal immigration operation and deports them. And that gives you the illusion or the sense that mass deportation is happening. And then you have Democrats who are going out and protesting, like, with all of their signs. And that also gives the illusion that mass deportation is happening, right? Because liberals and Democrats are freaking out about ICE and all of the deportations. But honestly, they're not really happening. And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to watch, especially as an independent. So what do you guys think about this? Oh, yes, Monday, July 7th. Oh my gosh, who did I see? If you guys are going, so we're freestyling a little bit today. We were supposed to welcome Seth Holehouse on the Shannon Joy Show. His technology, the sound, the audio wasn't working, and so we had to reschedule. And so, yeah, we're just doing a little bit of freestyle today. By the way, Dr. David Martin next week. Tomorrow, we're going to see who we can get in. I have a couple ideas, maybe Sasha Latapova if she has time. But yeah, all of my interviews are falling through this week. I'm not the best scheduler. I take care of my own scheduling and I'm not very good at it. But we do have lined up errand day for Thursday this week, 100%. And so, yes, Dr. Peter McCullough was on with us last week. He announced that he is speaking at Chautauqua, which is in New York State. It's kind of in my stomping grounds, and he's going to be speaking there on July 7th, which is a Monday. And he is going to be speaking about, now it's interesting, Chautauqua is a traditionally left-leaning, kind of Democrat liberal gathering. And it's very high profile. Some of the most high profile speakers have been featured in Chautauqua. And Dr. Peter McCullough is going to be speaking, interestingly enough, on transgenderism, autism, and vaccines. Okay, so these are and the correlations between high rates of autism and mass vaccination. So these are topics that liberals generally do not touch. Somehow, Dr. McCullough was invited to Chautauqua. I'm going to be there. So I'm going to be there as a spectator. I'm going to stay on the grounds, going in on Sunday evening, and then I'm going to stay for his talk. It's at 3 p.m., and you can get tickets. Diog99, thank you so much. If you go to tourchautauqua.com, events and advocates for balance, really interesting at the 225 speaker series. I think this is going to be really interesting. And I cannot wait to see what he has to say. I would love to sit in the audience with all of you. And if you spot me, say hello. But I think this is going to be a really great event. So yes, don't frag me, bro. It is like he's going in. It is lefty leaning speakers, but the issue is vaccines and autism and transgenderism. And I'm dying to see what he's going to say and how the audience is going to receive it. So I think this is going to be very, very interesting. Strident Conservative, thank you very much. David Leach is with us on the live chat with a very important link, and this supports what I was just saying regarding Lila Rose's tweet, Planned Parenthood, and Donald Trump. Abortion and Planned Parenthood funding exploded under the first Trump administration. And you can go and look at the numbers. They are linked in the live chat under Strident Conservatives. He just posted those up there. So thank you, David, for that. We reported on that in depth. In fact, under the Donald Trump administration, the NIH opened up, expanded research using aborted babies and aborted fetal parts. That was something that was also done during the Trump administration under his purview. And those types of expansions are always featured in these big, beautiful bills or big betrayal bills, right? And we've seen that now with gender affirming care. There has been reporting recently, yesterday, and it looks as if it's going to persist under this Trump administration. And if he signs the bill, then the blood is on his hands. That's just one of the horrifying aspects of this big, beautiful bill. And I have some other things about this as well, the expansion of AI. Now, Tom Massey is speaking out against the big betrayal bill. He is one of the lone congressmen who is refusing to vote for it. Once again, he is one of the only guys. But yesterday, Elon Musk, who is a transhumanist, he is a leftist, he is a proponent of AI, big tech, and the technocracy. He scooped up billions, if not trillions, of very crucial data when he was given access to Department of Treasury, HHS, and also the IRS. I believe it was Treasury, IRS, and HHS. It was Social Security. And so he went in with a team of technologists, and they basically uploaded all of our information to the cloud. That happened over a series of multiple weekends when they went in. And so he is now throwing a little tantrum, playing the role of, I'm really angry. Donald Trump is erasing my Doge and Congress is erasing all the Doge cuts. I don't buy that for a second. I think Elon Musk always knew that the Doge cuts were not going to be implemented because the point of Doge was not to cut anything. It was to give you all the illusion that they were cutting things, as he and his technologists went in and essentially engaged in a coup d'etat where they took some of the most vital U.S. information and data that they could possibly have. I mean, stuff that big tech has wanted for ages. They just handed that to Elon Musk. So it's worth a ton of money, right? And so now he's playing, oh, I'm so mad, stomping my feet, you're erasing my Doge. So Elon comes out yesterday and says, I'm going to support Tom Massey, right? And I'm just looking at this thinking, okay, this is a new false hope psyop, right? Everyone is betraying us. They hold up the one guy, Tom Massey, and Tom Massey's for the people and support him, raise money for Tom. I like Tom Massey, okay? Support Tom Massey, raise money for him. He's going to go in and somehow solve anything. What has Tom Massey been able to do over the past 10 years? What has he been able to achieve? What did he achieve during COVID, politically speaking? Did he stop a single bill? Did he stop the expansion of government? Again, I like Tom Massey. But what I don't like is this new elevation of Tom Massey as yet another political idol and a political hero, especially if he is aligning with someone like Elon Musk, who is a totalitarian. There are so many problems with Elon Musk. He is anything but a constitutionalist. He does not believe in free markets. He does not believe in privacy. He does not believe in free speech. His platform, Twitter, which is now X, censors speech every day. My account is still censored under Elon Musk, and many accounts are. So the fact that he is now kind of dangling the money carrot in front of Tom Massey is a little concerning to me. Tom Massey wakes up this morning and he posts this on Twitter. I woke up this morning. By the way, Tom Massey is another one that I have been trying to get an interview with that I just can't seem to get. So, I would like to interview Congressman Tom Massey. I woke up this morning to find out that Elon Musk is supporting my reelection. And he needs it, okay? He's being attacked by Donald Trump. I get it. Donald Trump is launching a campaign against Tom Massey. He needs funding to win his congressional seat. I get it. But what strings are attached to that funding? That is the question. Is this a deal with the devil? And I posted that out on Twitter today. I should have put a question mark behind it, but I didn't. But this is what he wrote. Elon's purchase of Twitter and cultivation of the X platform for free speech has already helped my cause immensely. It may have helped you, Tom Massey. A lot of people within the medical freedom movement and independents, right? You are a Republican. And so if you play ball, team sports, and politics, you tend to do a little bit better. But Twitter has been pretty awful to Naomi Wolf and some of the other very important truth tellers out there. But anyway, it's allowed me to bypass conventional media, to refute the lies of both political parties, and to provide transparency about how Congress works and what is actually inside of the bills that we vote on, which we really appreciate, Congressman Tom Massey. It's a great thing, okay? Exposing the worst parts of the BBB and reasserting congressional war powers has recently earned me the ire of the swamp in a fight for my reelection. But my reelection isn't really about either of those issues specifically. It's a referendum on whether members of Congress can think and act independently based on what's best for the country, or whether all members of Congress must be reduced to rubber stamps for their respective political parties and swampy special interests. I'm extremely thankful to have Elon Musk's financial assistance to continue my mission as an independent voice in Congress for my constituents. So that's great. Okay. We're glad he gets the money. Elon Musk is super, super rich. He's a mega billionaire. Will probably be a trillionaire in the next couple years because of all of the payouts that he's going to get on the back end for his big tech companies and for his big tech bros like Peter Thiel and Palantir. The AI expansion, the provision within the big beautiful bill to grant immunity. Speaking of immunity, it's not just for pharmaceutical companies anymore. It is for AI and big tech, with the 10-year moratorium and ban on states or localities challenging any expansion of AI. And this is really bad. I'm going to give you some details on this. Has Tom Massey spoken out about that? Will Tom Massey be prohibited for speaking out about that one provision if he brings in funding from Elon Musk? I would guess that Elon Musk really, 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 really likes that provision because he is in AI and tech. And I'm just going to give you guys some details about what this does, the scope and the duration. And in fact, I actually, for the very first time, used Grok. I used a little bit of AI on Twitter. So Twitter itself, Elon Musk's platform, gives you kind of the bullet point details of the scope, duration of this provision, the AI provision within the big, beautiful bill. And this is what it says. The provision bans states from enforcing existing or new AI-related regulations for 10 years, starting from the bill's enactment. It applies to, listen to what this applies to, AI systems, models, automated decision-making systems in interstate commerce with broad definitions that include any computational process using machine learning, statistical modeling, or data analytics that influences human decision-making. So automated AI decision-making, meaning, okay, the cloud, the AI, decides that a certain drug or a certain product is unsafe and then decides to ban it from the market, interstate commerce, right? And this could impact thousands of customers, millions of customers, hundreds of businesses, big businesses, little businesses, mom and pop shops, small restaurants. Maybe it decides there need to be new regulations for restaurants or hair salons or any type of, business. And it makes that decision, right? And then a million people are impacted. And guess what? Your state can't do anything about it. The courts within your state can't do anything about it. Your localities can't do anything about it. You just have to deal with it. I mean, this is how I'm reading it. Am I reading it wrong? The exceptions allow states that facilitate AI deployment, apply generally applicable rules equally to non-AI systems, or impose reasonable cost-based fees. Doesn't make any sense. The AI initiative also, so this is massive. I mean, this is an atom bomb on our Constitution and the way things happen here in the United States of America. This broad definition, it's basically immunity granted to tech companies that the federal government and even state governments work with or pay to execute governmental responsibilities or governmental duties. I mean, this is, you cannot understate how broad this is. How many of your conservative Republican leaders have brought this up? Oh, by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene is really mad about this. She's really upset, and she is banging her fist. She says, I am not going to vote for this. Well, you already voted for it, honey. Okay, she already voted for it in the House version of the bill, which just goes to show you, I mean, it doesn't matter what they say. They say things that you want to hear, but it doesn't matter. It's what they do. She voted for this. She moved it forward. She had nothing to say when it mattered. Okay? Has Elon Musk condemned this provision of the bill? I don't know. I haven't seen it. Maybe you guys can let me know on the live chat. This also opens up massive amounts of federal funding. Okay? Imposes the 10-year ban on enforcing laws or regulations that limit, restrict, or regulate AI models, systems, or automated decision systems involving interstate commerce. Interstate commerce is everything, guys. Okay? That is how they expanded the general welfare clause. That is how the federal government got their nose years ago or 150 years ago, by expanding, basically saying that the federal government can make or coerce the states to do everything if it involves interstate commerce. So if you step a toe over the line of a state, that means that the federal government can come in and regulate it. Everything is interstate commerce. Okay? Exceptions are made. We saw that. The Senate version of the bill, so it gets worse once you get into the Senate version. It ties compliance to federal broadband funding, meaning that states enforcing AI regulations risk losing significant funds potentially $42 billion. Okay? Here's federal funding for AI initiatives. The Department of Commerce gets $500 million to modernize and secure federal IT systems using commercial AI and automation technologies. The Department of Defense gets $200 million for AI to accelerate financial audits and additional bailouts for AI-driven autonomous military capabilities. That's super fun, including drones and cybersecurity. U.S. Customs and Border gets $1 billion for AI, machine learning, and non-intrusive inspection equipment to combat illicit narcotics. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. The Department of Health and Human Services gets $24 million to implement AI tools to reduce improper Medicare payments. Okay. This has been opposed by over 70 advocacy groups, 260 state lawmakers, 40 state attorneys generally oppose the moratorium. Okay. The left is in on this. The right is in on this. And this is a disaster. Is this going to go away? Is this going to go away? And how does Elon Musk feel about this? And will Elon Musk, now coming in the same way that Peter Thiel came in for Donald Trump with JD Vance and funded the re-election, how does that then tie Tom Massey to Elon? Tom Massey has always prided himself on getting small dollar independent campaigns so that he could best represent his constituents. This acceptance of potential massive funding from a government bureaucrat, essentially, or someone like Elon Musk, who is now completely intertwined with the US government through, okay? This could be a potential conflict of interest. Now, I think that Tom Massey is a great guy. He has been the only guy out there, a voice for the little people. He has done amazing work. He has suffered an enormous amount of persecution from both sides of the political aisle. I agree with 99.9% of everything that he said. I hope that this acceptance of funds from Elon Musk is not going to change the way that he governs and the issues that he chooses to champion. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to keep an eye on this. Have you guys has anyone seen anything about Elon Musk addressing the AI component? I'm glad I got to this, because so it's actually not so bad that we didn't get Seth today, because I wanted to get to this. And again, this ties all into mass surveillance, biosurveillance, wearables, infrastructure. So the big link, in order to move us into the 21st century technocracy, they need to capture an enormous amount of data. In order to capture an enormous amount of data, they need to break down some of our constitutional protections for privacy and increase the amount of surveillance of our cities and our towns and our villages in a variety of ways. They can do this by contracting with private companies, because private companies do not have the limitations that federal bureaucracies do. So if the federal bureaucracies then pay the private companies, this happened during COVID, right? It was most of the COVID-19 shot requirements, the coercive measures or the coercive methods that they took to trick people and force people into getting the COVID-19 shots, these happened from private companies, university systems, private hospitals, private corporate mandates. And in order to come to work and keep your job, you had to get the shot. Right? It wasn't the federal government doing this. This is why the coming together of big corporation, big tech, big corp, and the government is so dangerous. But it's happening, at a breathtaking pace right in front of our eyes. But in order, they need to collect the data. In order to collect the data, they need to have the surveillance. In order to process the data and use AI and make machine decisions, they have to process that in these massive data processing centers that require water and energy. And so that's why they need to open up millions of acres of pristine US land and sell them off to the lowest billionaire bidders in order to build some of these data centers. But make no mistake, they'll be putting the data centers in your hometown or your neighborhood, attaching them to nuclear reactors. Like, this is the dystopian vision that they have, but everything comes together. The vaccines, the tech, the land, the BBB. Who's putting all of this together? I do it in a very, I can see this. In the media see this? Or do they see it and they don't want to talk about it? Or only acknowledge one narrow aspect? Well, I only care about pro-life issues. Well, if you care about pro-life issues, you might want to scrutinize the technocracy, transhuman. I mean, I care about life issues does not mean like this very narrow silo of abortion. Right? We want old people to live and young people to live and women to be able to have babies. I mean, just the economics of this are terrible. I mentioned, this is linked in the show notes, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. In addition to the land provision, the AI provision, the expansion of gender affirming care, the funding of Planned Parenthood in years 3, 4, and 5 of this, or actually probably it's a funding bill for 10 years. So in year 1, they defund Planned Parenthood, but in year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, they fully fund Planned Parenthood. So yeah, Lila Rose, not really a defunding of Planned Parenthood, is it? I think that they'll be okay for a year. They'll figure out a way to survive. But in addition to all of that, if you're a fiscal conservative, because a lot of the conservative media apparatus that doesn't want to get muddied in the social conservative issues, they pride themselves on being fiscal conservatives. Well, you can't call yourself a fiscal conservative and have anything to do with this bill. It could add over $4 trillion to the debt, the Senate reconciliation bill alone, which brings the grand total to about $5 trillion, which is why we are in Groundhog Day political hell. Like nothing is changing. This same story over and over and over. I feel like my show is on a loop. Like I could do the exact same show. Like I did this exact same show, only it's worse today than it was 10 years ago. But every single reconciliation bill, every single omnibus bill, every single spending bill, same old song and dance. And here I am playing the same role that I played 10, 12 years ago. It's crazy. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting different results. But here we are. It's just astounding to watch this play out. What do you guys have to say about all of this? I saw that. I want to take a couple more of your comments. Who do we have here? Oh, DJ8 or DG8, such a good comment. Thank you so much. All in the green. Shannon, Obama added 8 trillion in 8 years. Trump added 8 trillion in 4 years and 6.2 trillion in CARES Act alone. Biden added 8 trillion in 4 years. Between these three, they have added 30 trillion of our $37 trillion national debt. Can you see the unibrow? They all work together. Why am I the only person saying this? David Icke actually had a pretty good tweet that I printed out as well that I agree with. And if you don't see this, if your favorite Republican, conservative, Christian pundit out there does not see this elephant in the room, then their entire analysis is flawed. Like this is like the biggest story in the United States of America. This is the paradigm through which every news story, every political story, every bit of analysis should be seen through. Okay? And not only, as I mentioned yesterday, are the Democrats and Republicans in cahoots. I have another one here. No, this is Lila Rosa's. We've seen, as I mentioned, massive corporations in the federal government. I mean, they're all, I mean, it is a tangled, vicious, totalitarian web that they have woven. We're in a pickle, America. We're in a serious pickle, okay? David Icke wrote this about the WWE wrestling, like the fake fighting. And that now entering the fray and offering up lots of money to Tom Massey to support his campaign, right? This is now moving into the WWE wrestling realm for me, where we're in the false hope stage. So we're all being betrayed and everyone is upset and everyone that voted for Trump is realizing that he's betraying them. But, we got to trust the plan. It's 12-dimensional chess, all of the things, all of the excuses. He's being tricked, right? And that's what Alex Jones is pushing out now. So now Alex Jones, okay, Trump is the smartest, most brilliant 12-dimensional chess player who is also being tricked by his own administration. So this is the other storyline that they're giving you. Alex Jones tweets this out. Exclusive analysis. Has Israel tapped President Trump's operations to help manipulate him into re-entering the Israel-Iran war? And that was pushed out. So once again, Donald Trump is being tricked into signing the big, beautiful bill, tricked into funding Planned Parenthood, tricked into getting us into another quagmire in the Middle East. It's never his fault. It's always when winning is happening, it's always because of Trump. Or a little baby who gets tricked over and over and over and over and over again by his own advisors and people like Susie Wiles. I mean, come on. Okay? How long are people going to fall for this? I'm just astounded every day. David Icke wrote above Trump, Iran, and even Israel that is orchestrating all of this, and probably levels above that. They are just pawns. At the level of real power, shadow power, the politicking is only theater to control public people who are really pulling the strings. If you don't realize this by now, and that this is what happens day by day, then you'll be bewildered, right? People who don't analyze from this perspective are pointed. They're always grasping for the 12-dimensional chess angle, or the he got tricked angle, or the trust the plan angle. Like, nothing ever makes sense unless you view politics through this paradigm. Okay? Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and Mike Johnson are on the same team. Joe Biden, Donald Trump on the same team. They play fight. They pretend. They go, the talking heads in the boxes on left-wing news media and right-wing news media. It's elaborate. And they all do it because they're getting filthy rich and they're gaining power. They all know the game. They're laughing at you because you're chumps. They think you deserve it. If we, the people of the and such idiots that we fall for this day after day, election cycle after election cycle after election cycle, then we deserve everything we get. That's the way they think. If you're dumb enough to buy this, we're going to sell it to you, and we're going to keep doing it to you. We are now conditioned, and it works every time. And I'm including people in the media, the big right-wing channels, platforms, stations. They're all getting rich, and they omit analysis because they can't go there because they're getting rich. They parse their words them to be at the right time. They always betray you. And then everyone is confused and befuddled. And that's what David Icke is saying here. You're confused because you are not viewing the news of the day and politics through the right. There are larger entities trying to control things. Now, the good news is those larger entities battle with each other and they fight it out. So there is room for us to resist and win. But he goes on, once you see where the real power is and what its goals are, it suddenly makes. Once you view this through the correct paradigm and you cast away your idols, no more conservative idols, no more political idols, no more religious idols, okay? Do not tether yourself to people, to humans. Tether yourself to principles and discernible policy outcome. That is the only way to survive and truly analyze what is happening within our world today. Once you see where this real power is and what their goals are, suddenly everything makes sense. First step, Trump is not being manipulated into anything. He knows his place, he knows the payout, and he's doing what he's told. He made the deal. And I would say that's probably the truth for 99% of the front-facing people in Washington, D.C., whether they are bureaucrats, elected officials, actors. They all know their role. And the payout is you get rich and you gain power, but you do have to sell your soul. And so, yes, I agree with David Icke, and I agree with you, DG8. Thank you for that great example. Appreciate you. Shannon, another comment. Yeah. People think it makes a difference who you vote for, and they don't care who you vote for as long as you support their phony left-right paradigm. Yeah, the point is to get you to vote and to believe in your vote. I hate to say this, but I think democracy is dead in the United States of America, tragically, for a while. You know, we can have elections again, but right now I think that they're too controlled and too manipulated. So Green Tea 369, great to see you. Strident conservative. I don't think Massey. I think Massey is still independent. I'm kind of off the Rand Paul bandwagon. But it is true. He takes the tough position once the outcome is already decided and gets a lot of publicity. But, tragically, there's not a lot that gets done. Let's see who else we have here on the live chat. Annie, how are we doing on time? I think we have to wrap it up. Okay. We can go for a little bit while longer. Lots of comments here. Do you guys think I'm totally off my rocker? I want to look at your comments right now. So I know that I went on a little rant. And okay, here we go. Yeah, let's get some comments on your thoughts. Is there a uniparty, right? Is it all WWE wrestling? Why do these people sell out? What do you think about Elon Musk coming in and underwriting? Again, I love Tom Massey. He is one of the best out there. And I do think he achieves, at least there is a voice of sanity out there, bringing truth. It's very helpful when Tom Massey comes out and makes these statements to people like me and to people who are organizing from the bottom up, okay? Because it gives us some gravitas behind some of the things that we are saying. So there is a benefit there, and there is a role to be played there. But what do you think? Nostradamus, Shannon, stay on longer. Yeah, we did start a little bit late today. And as you all know, I'm freestyling here because we lost our guest. Seth Holehouse was supposed to be on the Shannon Joy Show, and we couldn't get the audio to work. So we're rescheduling him for later this week. Not later this week, probably next week. Alex Jones is pathetic. I agree. So what about the Epstein files? Okay, our good friend Steve Deace is very upset today. This morning, I wake up and there's a tweet from Steve Deace, and he's upset that we haven't gotten the Epstein files. I'm like, from the guy, yeah, your guy Trump was the guy who allowed Epstein to get Epstein in the first place in a federal prison, right? Your guy is the guy who put Bill Barr in charge of getting to the bottom of the Epstein files and the Epstein network, right? So this idea that did he have a clue when the influencers who were paid, by the way, like libs of TikTok and Cernovich and who knows who, Liz Wheeler, went out with their big, beautiful, empty binders full of nothing and tried to psych out their audiences and pretend that there were actual Epstein files released. Like, it was so pathetic. Like, that doesn't give you guys a clue that this is fake. I can't even take it anymore. Bewildered. Yes, LT Oracle of Truth. Great question. Are you taking off on Friday? Yes, Friday, I believe, is it 4th of July? Yeah, Friday is 4th of July. And we're also on summer hours. We're working on, as you guys know, the Shannon Joy Show. It's a full-time job, 90 minutes of content every single day. And we do that completely independently through Joy Media, which is my independent company. I contract with people like Annie Cyrus and a couple others to handle some of the aspects of the business, but it's really just me and a few other people running the show. As you know, it's a lot of work. So we bring in all of our own sponsors. We vet all of our sponsors. I'm responsible for fulfillment and tech. I mean, it's a one-woman show here. And so I really do need some time to work on the business and to make sure that everything is in place. So we're working on summer hours where, for the most part, I'm taking Fridays off, but not really off. We're doing compilations. We're taking the best of the Shannon Joy Show from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, putting it into a great package for the Friday live. I'm often on the live chat, but this gives me time to sit down at my desk and do the business of the Shannon Joy Show, which is platforming. It is working on the production, making it look and sound better and better, all of the things that would go into building a show and a network. And so that's been really critical in the past couple weeks. So we're going to take a look in the fall and see how it's going. I could go back to that 5-day week, but this Friday is 4th of July, so I'm taking it completely off. So happy Independence Day. We're supposed to have apparently the big bio attack, the bioterror attack. Alex Jones is talking about it. And wouldn't that give them just a wonderful opportunity to lock us down again? Okay, that's how close we are. I mean, couldn't you envision it in a second, right? So we got to keep an eye out on that. False flags, you name it. Who else do we have? So Don't Frag Me Bro thinks that the power players are the Vatican, it's Catholic Church, central bank cartel, so Bank of International Settlements and all of like their sister banks and global banks, and the, you say MIC, CIA, but those would be the central intelligence agencies, the global intelligence agencies, the covert. The CIA should be defunded. I mean, they should break that entire thing up. Why do we have covert intelligence organizations working behind the scenes to surveil and spy on not only Americans, or not only foreigners, but Americans as well? I just, it's crazy. Who else we have? So yeah, LT Oracle of Truth, great to see you. Maloney, great to see you. Oh, I have a question for you guys. Has anyone heard about, we need David Knight desperately. We know, and let's keep him in our prayers. David Knight had some health issues, very serious health issues, about a month ago. And I don't know if any of you have updates, but I've been meaning to reach out to him, and I will, but I just am wondering how he is doing. So if anyone has any updates, I would appreciate that. If you want to pop it onto the live chat. Junk Silver, Shannon, Tom Massey is just an escape valve. The establishment lets one or two guys like that hang around for a while just so the rest of us can blow off steam. It feels like it sometimes, right? Like at least there's one person, the voice of sanity. I just feel like we've done this so many times. We've done this with Mike Lee. We've done this with Ted Cruz. We've done this with Trey Gowdy. We did this with, who are some of the more recent ones? Rand Paul. We've done this with, I've seen it done with, I Never Fell for Marjorie Taylor Greene, or who was the other guy? Who was the guy from Florida? The real weird one. He's not a congressman anymore. He's kind of a shady character. Matt, oh gosh, what was his name? I can't remember. It just does feel like there's always one or two where you're like, oh, thank God there's still a voice of reason. And then that gives you the false hope. I could be wrong. I'm just surmising here. DGH, Shannon, when you do realize that over 400 of our 435 Congress people are on the AIPAC payroll, how can they work for us? They are paid to vote a certain way, not for the American people. So AIPAC is the Israeli super PAC lobbying organization that feeds money into both political parties, left and right. And they have a lot of money. And yes, they lobby our politicians on behalf of Israel. Now, to your point, DGA, there are a lot of lobbying organizations within Washington, D.C., right? There are foreign governments. There are Chinese lobbyists. There are lobbyists for big tech, lobbyists for big pharma, lobbyists for big oil, for big chemical, the ones that have the iron lock grip on this administration. It's big tech. It's Peter Thiel, the Silicon Valley bros, the tech bros, PayPal mafia, you name it, right? But so AIPAC is one component of that. And it's really bad. This is why we should not have power centralized in Washington, D.C. This is why we need to reassert the rights of individual sovereign Americans, localized governments, so county governments and state governments, and reduce the federal government. Because when you have one consolidated place where all the power goes, well, that's where all the people go. That's where all the corporations go. And then they all realize, like, if they just all get together, then they can get very rich. They can plunder this country and screw average Americans and use their little psyop, WWE wrestling to confuse us and befuddle us over and over and over again. The question is when we wake up to it. That's really the only question out there. When do enough people wake up to this? Ranger 1791 is with us. The Trump-Russia collusion hoax was theater until the COVID-19 pandemic hoax was ready to deploy, and all of a sudden Russia and collusion was completely forgotten. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how fast we cycle through these crises over and over and over? And it's Washington, D.C. Matt Gaetz. Thank you, Mama C, 1996, for the win. LT Oracle of Truth. I see you got it too. Right? Who else do we have here? Yeah, Freemasons, secret societies. Nostradamus says, Shannon, we have not hit rock bottom yet. Now, here's the thing. You don't want to get too fearful about all of these things. One of the things that I have learned over the years is, yes, they have a lot of money. They have a lot of power. They have their secret organizations, and they're trying to, of course, maintain power. I used to be afraid, like, are they surveilling me? Are they tapping into my computer? Are they watching me? I'm not really afraid of that anymore. I'm sure they have tons of information on me. I just decided that I would just try to live a clean life, and they could probably look through all of my stuff and not really find anything. But a lot of people will not speak out, speak up, advocate, or stand for truth, or get involved because they're afraid that someone's going to get them, and off them. And I think that a lot of the threats from some of these secret organizations or governmental organizations or the CIA are overblown. And I think that in and of itself is somewhat of a psyop to keep regular people from getting involved. And so I don't even worry about what could potentially happen to me. I just don't. When it's time for me to go, God is going to take me. He's way more powerful than all of these people. And, I just try to hunker down and do my thing and not worry about that stuff. Like, you really have to obliterate fear. I've seen so many people, I can't say this because of this, and this, or I can't say that because, they'll come after me, my business, or they'll come after me, my family. And, I just don't worry about it. I just don't. And I know there are a lot of you here on the chat that don't. LT Oracle of Truth. Shannon, we're on the list. Well, okay, fine. I don't know if I am or not. I don't really care. We're just going to continue to do what we do every day here, and until things change. But all right, good. Oh, be my Valentine. Be my Valentine. My grandfather was a 33-degree Mason. Disturbing. I don't know about the Masons. There's all of the symbolism and yeah, Mason. I don't know. I think there are levels of involvement in some of these things. I don't know. I do want to join. We have a Freemason. There are like Masonic temples all over New York State. I don't know if you guys have Masonic temples in like every state, but they are ornate, prominently central in almost every village in upstate New York. They're everywhere. And we have a Masonic temple here in the beautiful village of Fairport, New York. And I want to join. I'm like, it's still going. Like, they still operate it. They water the flowers. Like, you can peek in, and it's always dark. Do not join the Masons, says Mama C 1996. I want to go in covertly to see what goes on, to see what their like secret rituals are, like what they do. But don't worry, they would never accept me because the Masons don't accept women. PG Glenny, yes, Shannon, there are levels. Right, the everyday Catholic, Jew, or Freemason is not the issue. It's the people at the top. I don't know. These are things. It's like I've already gone down the rabbit hole. I've like kind of, seen all the conspiracies, and I emerged thinking that first of all, conspiracies are really just 5-year plans. Okay, one man's conspiracy theory is another man's 5-year plan. I can't really prove any of them because I'm not privy to their secret meetings. Okay, so I don't really worry about them too much. I do believe that the truth of the matter is, though, nothing would surprise me. Right. So I do believe that that human beings, men or women with enough power, centralized, operating in secret, can do an enormous amount of damage to regular human beings. And they are capable of unbelievable acts of evil. So there is nothing that would surprise me in terms of a conspiracy or what they are capable of doing. We saw that on COVID floors. We saw that with the rollout of COVID vaccines and Operation Warp Speed. So their acceptance of human suffering and death, I think, is astronomical. So nothing would surprise me about that, but there's really nothing I can do about that. I don't want to be involved. So I just look at what is on the table, right? What is the news of the day? What are we dealing with today? What are we grappling with? How is politics working here in this country, and what can we do as individuals with very little power, right? We don't have the power that they do, but what can we do collectively from the bottom up to throw wrenches into their plans? Okay, that's what you want to do, is just never give up, keep telling the truth, and keep going and throw as many wrenches into their plans, do the best you can, and try to beat them at the local level. And that's really what I do. So yeah. Oh gosh, we opened up an entire Pandora's box. Maybe we'll do this tomorrow. If I can't get a guest for tomorrow, we'll do another freestyle. Annie tells me it's time to go. Thank you all for being with us today on the Shannon Joy Show. I appreciate all of you. And make sure that you support our sponsors. Colonial Metals Group, the Satellite Phone Store. We love Native Path and the protein products over there right now. NativePathCompleteProtein.com/joy, 41% off. I love this protein powder. We use it every day at the Joy household. Thank you to, so the URL there is Native Path Complete Protein. They never give me an easy URL ever. NativePathCompleteProtein.com/joy. It is the only place you're going to get 41% off. So make sure you use that URL. Thank you to Annie for producing the show. Thank you to all of you for being guests on the show. We will be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.